Episode 10: The Stranger Who Taught Me an Important Lesson. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our A to English podcast. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today, I want to tell you a story that changed the way I think about people. The title of today's episode is The Stranger Who Taught Me an Important Lesson. Sometimes we meet people for only a few minutes. We may never see them again. However, those short meetings can stay in our memories for many years. This story happened on a rainy afternoon. I had just finished work. I was tired after a long day, and I wanted to go home as quickly as possible. The streets were wet because it had been raining for several hours. People were walking quickly with umbrellas. Cars were moving slowly because of the traffic. I arrived at the bus station and looked at the schedule. My bus was delayed by 30 minutes. At first, I felt disappointed. I sat on a bench and waited. While I was waiting, I noticed an elderly man sitting a few seats away from me. He was wearing a dark blue coat and holding an old book. Unlike everyone else, he was not looking at his phone. He was simply reading quietly. A few minutes later, he looked at me and smiled. I smiled back. Then he asked, "Has your bus arrived yet?" I replied, "No, it has been delayed." He nodded. "It seems we will have to wait together." We started talking. At first, our conversation was simple. We talked about the weather. We talked about the traffic. We talked about how busy life had become. Then he asked me, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" I answered, "I enjoy reading books, studying English, and learning new skills." His face became brighter. "That is wonderful," he said. "Never stop learning." I asked him why learning was so important to him. He closed his book for a moment and smiled. Then he began telling me his story. "When I was young," he said, "I did not have many opportunities. My family was poor. I left school early to help my parents. For many years, I believed that my education had ended." He paused for a moment. Then he continued, "When I became 40 years old, I made an important decision. I decided to become a student again." I looked at him with surprise. 40 years old? I asked. "Yes," he replied with a smile. "I began reading every evening after work. At first, I read only a few pages. Sometimes I was tired. Sometimes I wanted to sleep. But I continued." He explained that after several years, he had read hundreds of books. He had learned a new language. He had even started teaching young people in his community. I listened carefully. His story inspired me. Then he said something I will never forget. He looked at me and said, "Many people believe they need more time. The truth is that they need more discipline." Those words stayed in my mind. He continued, "Success is usually not about being the smartest person. It is about doing the right things every day." I nodded slowly. I realized he was right. Many people wait for the perfect moment. They say, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll start next year." But tomorrow often becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And many dreams are never started. The elderly man smiled again. He opened his book and showed me one page. On that page, someone had written, "Small steps every day create big changes over time." I read the sentence twice. It was simple, but very powerful. Soon, the bus arrived. People stood up and entered one by one. The man and I sat near each other. During the journey, we continued talking. He told me about his travels. He told me about the mistakes he had made in life. He also told me that he had never stopped learning. Before we reached my stop, I thanked him. I said, "Thank you for sharing your story with me." He smiled warmly. Then he replied, "One day you will share your own story with someone else." I got off the bus. Before the doors closed, I waved goodbye. He waved back. That was the last time I ever saw him. But I have never forgotten our conversation. Since that day, I have changed many of my habits. I read more books. I spend less time doing unimportant things. I try to learn something new every day. Whenever I feel tired or unmotivated, I remember his words. Small steps every day create big changes over time. Life often teaches us lessons in unexpected ways. Sometimes a teacher is not standing in a classroom. Sometimes a teacher is simply a stranger sitting beside us. That is why we should always be kind. We should always listen. Every person has a story. Every person has something to teach us. Here are some useful expressions from today's episode. I enjoy learning new skills. Never stop learning. What do you do in your free time? Small steps create big changes. Thank you for sharing your story. It was nice talking to you. These expressions are useful in everyday conversations. Before ending today's episode, I would like you to think about these questions. Have you ever met a stranger who inspired you? What important lesson have you learned from another person? What small habit would you like to improve this year? Try answering these questions in English. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Remember, every person you meet knows something that you do not know. Listen carefully. Learn continuously. Stay humble. Keep reading. Keep practicing. And never stop growing. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.